What's happening, y'all? Listen, I wanted to finish up that video that I started up the other day about the new supply being finished. I think it was some real good points that need to be touched on in that video. So my son woke up. I apologize to you guys. My son woke up from his nap in the middle of that video, so I had to cut it short. And I said I was going to come back and do a part 2 of that video. So basically, this is part 2 of that. But first, if you guys are new here, go ahead and sub the channel and hit the notification bell so y'all can get all of the new video content that's coming out. And I absolutely love and appreciate each and every last one of you guys that have been continuing to rock with the channel since day one and all the way up to today. All of my new followers, man, I absolutely appreciate all of y'all from the bottom of my heart, man. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get right into the content. Basically, I was giving y'all the analogy of the narcissist flipping over an hourglass. Like every time they change supply, they basically are taking the hourglass and just flipping it over. So it's a lot of factors that can come into the narcissist actually discarding you, but you can kind of get a sense of how their cycle works. So I was able to time mine down to a period of about, so it's like her hourglass had about like a year and a half minimum to like a 2.5 year maximum on it. So every time her and I would go through the cycle of the relationship, it would never go past about 2 years, 2.5 years. At the year and a half mark, that's when I started noticing like her behavior would start switching up a little bit. The first time around, like I said, she did a soft discard. So when she did the soft discard, that's basically when she just left the situation. She left on good terms, but she still discarded. So it was like she rolled out, she was off to new supply. I didn't know nothing about nothing that was going on because she just presented it like, you know, issues in life. Things were going on in life and I had to take care of some things. You know, it's nothing against you. I really like you. I really still want to be with you. And I see us having a future together, all of that kind of stuff. It was basically a lot of future faking. So she would pop into the situation, stay with me for a year, year and a half, maybe 2 years at the max. Or like I said, 2.5 years at the max. And then after that 2.5 year mark, she would just disappear. So she did that once. She left on good terms. She came back. The love bomb was heightened, but then the abuse was also heightened. So the first time she came around, I guess I was still fresh and new to her. So she was extremely nice. Like we were always going out, having a good time, doing this, doing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? She took me to my first wine festival. Like, you know what I'm saying? She took me to a Caribbean wine festival. And I thought that was dope because I had never, number one, been to a wine festival. But number two, it was like a Caribbean wine festival. So it was like reggae music everywhere. And you know what I'm saying? It was food trucks. They had a lot of different food trucks and stuff all lined up. And they had a lot of different Caribbean foods and things like that on the truck. So I like thoroughly enjoyed myself because it was like a different type of date than I had ever been on. You know what I'm saying? I had never been, you know, exposed to a different culture and all of that kind of stuff. And that, you know, she was actually from that culture. So she was able to like explain a lot of things to me that I wouldn't have known if she hadn't been there. So it was like, you know, I had kind of enjoyed myself, you know, in that situation because, you know, it was presented in a way that it, like we had a good time. It was, you know what I'm saying? It was a good time. So that's one of the things that I had to also take from this whole experience is the good times that you did have. I know a lot of coaches will tell you, you know, those good times weren't real. This wasn't real. This wasn't this. This wasn't that. But if it helps you to feel that those feelings that you had were a good time when you had them, like I had a good time. You know what I'm saying? Whether she was playing games or not, I had a great time, you know, in certain aspects of that relationship. And I'm just that type of person. I can go out by myself and have a good time. So it didn't really matter whether, it wasn't the fact that I was with her that I had a good time. It was just that I had a good time. Like now, it's not taking nothing away from her in that situation, but like I said, most of it was I'm able to have a good time on my own. You know what I'm saying? I'm able to take myself out on a date. You know what I'm saying? Like I show y'all sometimes that I will take myself out and just enjoy my evening and things like that. And I was doing that type of stuff way before I met her. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it had nothing to, like I said, really do with her. But at the same time, if you guys can enjoy your your moments with them without, you know, taking from those moments, even though you realize now that this wasn't a real person, I think you guys should still enjoy those moments, those moments that y'all shared, and you know that you really actually did have a good time. Like, take it for what it is. Like, it was a life experience. You had fun while doing it, and you learned a valuable life lesson at the end of it. But at the end of the day, you know, enjoy your moments in life, regardless of who was involved or whatever the case may be. Just take it for the fact that you enjoyed your time and you enjoyed your moment, whether it was with this person that wasn't real or not. So basically, I'm gonna get back to that hourglass situation. Like I said, mine had about an hour, like about a year and a half to 2.5 year gap on her hourglass. Now, what could make that be on the longer side is if the old supply was trying to pop back in while she was, like, when I became the new supply, and the old supply was still trying to fight the situation. That's why I'm saying you guys gotta, like, let it go, because while you're still in the mix, you're still filling them up. Now they're getting filled up on both sides. They know you're hurt about the situation, and you still want the situation. You're still chasing after them, and this, that, and the third. That's why, like, immediately when I saw her start to play games, I looked at her and was like, have I ever chased you? Like, I'm not gonna chase you. You know what I'm saying? Like, any grown woman that wanted to be in this type of situation wouldn't be playing these type of games. So I just knew immediately, like, I wasn't willing to chase her. You know what I'm saying? And so the fact that I wasn't willing to chase her, she started to kind of unravel. So she started to kind of attack me more. So because I wouldn't respond to text message, or I was like ignoring her, I was basically gray rocking in the situation real heavy, especially at the very beginning. Once I learned what I was dealing with, and I learned that, okay, this is a behavioral thing that I can't beat. I can't even fight this thing, because at that time I was still kind of new to even understanding it. So I just knew that I had to get away from her. So that's basically what I did. I just created some distance from her. And once I created that distance, she started trying to get a rise out of me more. And once I started realizing that that's what she was trying to do, like, okay, you just trying to get basically some energy out of me. You want me to be upset. You want me to be miserable just like you are. And I wasn't willing to go there. I was just like, nah, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be miserable because you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you and your mother and your family have made you miserable all your life, basically. And now you want to, like, take that out on people and abuse people that had nothing to do with what happened to you. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know that I was dealing with a narcissist, but I knew that I wasn't the blame for her behavior. Even in that moment, like, this is like early on in the discard and everything. I didn't know about narcissism yet, but I just knew that I was not the blame for her behavior, and I had done everything that I could in that situation. That's why I could be extremely proud of myself at the end of that relationship, because I knew I did everything that I could do to make it work. And once I walked away, it was like my hands was tied. I had to walk away. There was nothing else left for me to do except walk away. So and a lot of us get stuck into that situation because we want to hang on and hang on and hang on, you know what I'm saying? But you got to understand, like, the more and more you hang on, the more and more you getting drugged, and you know what I'm saying? So you got to eventually let go, you know what I'm saying? But before you kill yourself, you know what I'm saying? You're going to wind up hurting yourself more trying to hang on to a situation where somebody is dead set on leaving, regardless. Like I said, mine never gave me, of course, I'm sure you guys have the same exact situation, that you didn't get any closure. And mine never even gave me like, mine didn't even give me any reasons at all other than I'm just like my mother. You know what I'm saying? Like she told me I'm just like my mother. I don't need no nigga. I don't need to be with you. Like that's what I heard. I didn't hear anything like, I just don't find you attractive anymore. You gaining weight, or what I'm saying, you don't treat me good. I didn't hear none of that. Like to this day, there was nothing that said, okay, you know, there's an issue with you, that I have a problem with you. It was hard for her to even devalue because we were in such a good stage, you know what I'm saying, right before she got pregnant. So it was almost like my discard and my devalue and my discard came after circumstance. So as soon as she got pregnant with my son, like she had never really did a lot of the devalue. She did the ghosting, and she would disappear, and she would disappear for a year and a half, 2 years, and then she would pop back into the picture. And I didn't realize that that was devaluation as well, and basically trying to groom me to put me in a position of like superiority over me. Like she basically had control over me, the way she could just pop in and out of my life whenever she felt like it. You know what I'm saying? So it was just that situation of like, okay, listen, the more and more I started waking up and realizing I can't fight this thing, and I just walked away from the situation. Now she don't have me to project on. So now that hourglass is flipped over for the new supply. And like I said, she got a year and a half time limit on her time clock, basically. Now, if I would have stayed in the situation and kept filling her up and filling her up, then she could have continued to project her negative energy and her negative vibes on me, while giving the new supply, continuing to give him the love bomb and all of that kind of stuff. But because I pulled out of that situation, now it's like, okay, there's a big gap, there's a big hole in her fuel matrix now. Now she don't have, as much fuel coming in as she thought. And now it's like a significant drop. You know what I'm saying? So now she has to rely on the new supply for everything. She has to rely, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure she has some other supplies that she's probably trying to groom now, and then they use the children and their family members and all of that kind of stuff to gain supply off of it as well. But me knowing her, like, you gotta like know your narcissist, know the person that you were dealing with, and just know how they move, and just think about how they move with you. So me knowing her family and the kids and stuff like that, it ain't enough. Now the kids, with us having a newborn and her getting a lot of attention because we had a newborn at that time, that was kind of filling her up. That was kind of making her feel like, okay, yeah. So I noticed at the very beginning, after the discard, my son was born, she was riding on this high where it was like when, she was very arrogant. It was like this, snap of the neck every time she would come around, like to drop my son off. It was like this extra arrogance in her. And that's when I could really see that she was a chameleon. Like she was switching forms. She wasn't the person that I had did. Like the person that I knew was no longer there. Even just looking at her, she didn't even look the same. You know what I'm saying? It was like almost everything had changed about her. And don't get me wrong, I was doing my gray rock and like no contact type of situation. So I forced myself not to look at her directly, like, you know what I'm saying, at the very beginning of my healing journey, I had to deal with her because we were sharing our child. And because we were sharing our child, I was like, listen, I have to see her. But in seeing her, I don't really have to see her. So I did everything to not look at her, not because I didn't want to, I was still in my healing process, and I was still attracted to her. You know what I'm saying? It was still like, you know what I'm saying? So at that time, I was like, listen, I'm not gonna look at her. I'm not, because I know who she is now. And regardless of what the outer shell may look like, I realized what was inside now. And once I knew what was inside, then it was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, it was hard for me to just completely break my attraction because this was my child's mother. This was somebody that I had been dealing with, you know, for the last couple of years, off and on, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, with me realizing who she was, I knew that it was over, and I knew that, like, and actually even my attraction to her dissipated. Like it slowly, like, really started to dissipate to the point where it was like, I know so much about her, and I know exactly how trifling she is and all of that kind of stuff. And now I can see, you know, even though I don't know the full extent of all of the dirt, I just know what she did to me. And I'm like, if you were willing to do that to me, and as cool as our relationship was, and as cool as of a friend that I was to you, and as much like as many great experiences that she and I had shared, then I knew that she could do anything to anybody. Like if she could do what she did to me, I knew. Like I knew right there. I was like, oh man, like, you know, the next dude, whoever the next person is, they got it bad. Like they, you know, they gonna have it extremely bad. And that's, you know what I'm saying, basically what I'm getting to with this video right here is that basically that hourglass got flipped over on a new supply. And when you removed yourself out of the situation, if you guys did remove yourself out of the situation, now that sand has been dripping and dripping and dripping and dripping on that new supply. And like I said, mine had about a year and a half, two year, like maybe 2.5 year time clock. So if we're looking at it from that standpoint, like I said, I went through the cycle 3 times. So I'm speaking from experience when I say that. Like she literally had a 2-year gap of time. And I was reading some of y'all comments earlier. A lot of you guys had that same situation. Like they don't usually, they usually have a certain period of time that they make it with each supply. So they may be with a supply for a year and a half, jump over here, may last 2 years over here. Okay, then they roll out again, may go back to the old supply for another year and a half, that kind of thing. It's like they jumping around, but that cycle usually lasts about the same period of time. So her cycle, like I said, was about 2 years. My son is currently 2 years old. I discarded her about 6 months into my son being born because I found out, I basically started unraveling all of the lies, and a lot of stuff started being blatant to me that I'm like, okay, this a blatant lie. Now I know for a fact that, you know, this is somebody that is a pathological lie. You know what I'm saying? At the beginning, she told a lot of little small lies, and it was stuff that I could just brush off, and I was like, why would she lie about that? But then when I started realizing, I'm like, oh, she lies about everything. And not only does she lie about everything, she tells dangerous lies. She tells lies that could have really got somebody hurt. You know what I'm saying? She told a lot of lies that put it like this, the stuff that the lies that she told caused a lot of reactions. And if I hadn't caught the fact that she was lying, then things could have went a whole lot of different ways, because the stuff that she was lying about was stuff that, like, me as a father, and me, you know, me, especially me being a new father, the things that she was lying about, it set me into action. You know what I'm saying? And it set me into a position where I'm like, okay, it's up now. You know what I'm saying? Now I know how I have to handle this situation. You know what I'm saying? So I really had to see through the bullshit to see that, oh, this person that I'm supposed to be able to trust, and this person that I'm supposed to be able to rely on as my teammate and as my co-parent, this is the person that's causing all of the drama. This is the person that's, like, spinning the situation into making all of these lies and all of this. You know, she basically is creating the drama. And, you know, I'm looking at it, well, like, why is there so much drama in this situation, not realizing that she was creating the drama. And then once I realized that she was the one creating it, then I was able to see it for what it really was and distance myself from her, and know like, okay, it's no turning back now. Like, she did some stuff that, regardless of whether I had wanted to stay in that situation or not, at that time I had to get out because I realized I was in danger at that point. It wasn't like, you know, like I said, my situation ended up in some dangerous stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? So I know a lot of you guys have ended up in like hurtful stuff going on, and mine was definitely extremely hurtful as well. But mine ended up in situations where, like I said, things could have really, you know, things could have really escalated, and somebody could have really got extremely hurt behind the lies and the manipulation and the games that she was playing, from her family to me to the children to the police department. Like, she was lying to everybody, like the doctors at the hospital when we were giving childbirth, all of that kind of stuff. Like, she was lying to everybody. She had such a big elaborate scheme going on that it's like, it's still hard for me to understand everything that happened in that situation, because it was so many lies told. Like, she had lied about so much stuff and lied about so much stuff to so many people in such a short period of time that it was like, it was no way that you was gonna be able to keep up with what was going on and what she was talking about. So I just realized that I was not the problem in the situation. And once you guys realize that you're not the problem in the situation, I think that'll give you a little bit of strength to go ahead and make that move, to go ahead and remove yourself from the situation. Because I knew the narcissist will try to spin the situation to make you feel like you are the one who is the problem. And if you know that you're not the problem, you don't need them to validate that you're not the problem. You know for a fact that you are not the issue in the situation. You did everything that you could to make that relationship work, and it still did not work out. That's on them, and they got to take that for what it is. And so that's what the new supply is dealing with now. You know what I'm saying? Basically, what the new supply is dealing with is, like I said, that hourglass got flipped over. Because I removed myself, now she has nowhere to bounce her negative energy off except for her family members, who is now going to see through the smear campaign and everything that she tried to put on me. So now she's going to start acting crazy and doing all kinds of wild stuff to her family members, because now they looking at the situation like, well, wait a minute, you just had a baby with this dude. Now he out of the picture. You know what I'm saying? Now you got this other dude in the picture. And you know what I'm saying? And regardless of how toxic and all of that her family is and may be, her movements, excuse me, I'm gonna get this mosquito. My bad, I was a mosquito in here, but I don't know if I got him or not. I might not have got him. But listen, her movements have caused a lot of drama in her family, and has her family looking at her a certain type of way now, because, you know, and that's one of the things, even the narcissistic family will get upset at the narcissist for making them look bad as a whole. Now, they're going to keep rocking with them at that time, but you still got to understand it's all about looks and perception and all of that kind of stuff with them. So the fact that now the narcissist has made so many mistakes, and she has my whole side of the family knowing about all of the mistakes that she made, because they were blatant, they were publicly done. Now it's like, okay, it's now her family is kind of embarrassed, because now they can see that the stuff that she has done has caused a rift between both sides of the family. And they may not actually care or anything like that, but it weakened her smear campaign against me. And then not only that, I'm a good father, you know what I'm saying? So she tried to make it seem as if, you know, I didn't want to be in my child's life and all of that kind of stuff before my child was born. And so she tried to make it seem like that's why she did a lot of the behaviors that she had done towards the discard. So she got in front of the situation and tried to make it seem like I was just this type of person and that type of person and all of that kind of stuff. And when I would not accept that, and her family started to realize, like, wait a minute, something's not adding up, because you saying he's this and you saying he's that, but he wants his son every single weekend. So now they see he gets his son every weekend. He didn't raise no whole lot of hell when you discarded him because I didn't go chasing her, none of that kind of stuff. And because of that, like I said, that saved me in the smear campaign. So she tried to make it seem like I was like chasing her, or I was, I'm not even sure if that's what she told them, but she definitely told them that I was the bad guy in the situation. And she didn't tell them that she didn't tell them any of the stuff that she did to for us to actually break up. She made a bunch of excuses trying to tell her family that, black people thought that they were better than, Caribbean people, Caribbean blacks. And I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even something that black folk think about. You know what I'm saying? We've been through so much of a struggle. We don't, you know what I'm saying? We don't think about stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was, stuff like that she was just creating lies and creating a lot of commotion in the situation just to get in front of her narrative. And now her narrative is blowing up because everybody can kind of see that I'm literally nothing like she's trying to portray me out to be. And even in situations where I was upset and I could have responded ugly, I held my composure and just ignored her. And that kind of helped me a lot, because her mother her mother had this attitude towards me, like, she was real nasty, but I was so laid back and cool that her mother ended up like, you know what, you're a cool guy, man, you're a cool guy. And her mother was like dapping me up, you know what I'm saying, which I felt was kind of weird because, I don't know, it was just kind of weird that a 50, 60-year-old woman was like, well, actually older than that, she's 60, pushing 70, would be like dapping me up like a man, and you're like, oh, you're cool, man, you're cool. It was like a lot of masculine energy, you know what I'm saying? That's I guess what I'm trying to get at is, for a woman in her 50s or in her 60s, 70s to have that much like testosterone, that masculine energy, and like, yeah, we're cool, don't worry about it, we're cool. I just knew, like, okay, now I can see now I can kind of see the dynamics between her and her daughter. And I can see that those dynamics is possibly what created all of this mess that we're in now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying that that's the only thing, but I'm sure her mother had a lot to do with the way that she became in life. You know what I'm saying? So basically, like I said, the new supply, that time clock, that hourglass is flipped over on the new supply. When you remove yourself out of the situation, the new supply has to get the brunt of all of that bad energy that's coming into them now. So yeah, the love bomb is gonna end, and once that love bomb is over with, that devaluation gonna be so vicious, because now they don't have both of y'all. It's like they gonna be mad at the new supply for losing you. You know what I'm saying? And then they're gonna be mad at the new supply for not living up to who you are. Then they're gonna be mad at the new supply just because they mad at the new supply. You know what I'm saying? Like they mad at the world anyway. You know what I'm saying? So that's my video right there, man. I just wanted to drop this and let y'all know that the new supply doesn't even realize what they got coming. It's over before they even realize it started. Like I said, I didn't think about a relationship these days. Just to get to know somebody, it takes you about a year and a half, 2 years maybe. And then if you're going to get serious, usually, nowadays, I would say nothing less than 2 to 3 years of actual dating and getting to know each other before you actually start to feel like you even know this person well enough to be in a relationship. There's so much toxicity out here in this day and age that you got to be extremely careful. So it's like taking your time and getting to know people in relationships is like kind of a lost art. Everybody's just jumping into bed with each other, and it's like pumping down, pumping down, pumping down. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that level of respecting a person's time and courtmanship and like going out and trying to impress each other and all of that kind of stuff. Like, that's a lost art these days. It's like, literally, what do you have on the surface that I like? Do I like this on the surface? Okay, you're cute. Okay, you got a little bit of money. Okay, you drive a nice car. Okay, let's go get in the bed. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how it is nowadays. It's like, you know, it's a lost dynamic to relationships, being intimate and having emotional empathy towards each other and actually working together as a team. Because most people, I don't even think, like now, I don't even think that most people search for long-term relationships, other than, especially in a younger community. I don't think the younger generations are looking for like long-term commitment right now, you know what I'm saying? And I hope that's something that changes in the future, but it seems like right now, the way that the world is going, is literally everything is a pump and dump. And I'm hoping that it gets better, you know what I'm saying? I'm hoping that we can figure out a way to turn this thing back around. And I feel like with my channel and channels like mine, and especially a lot of the more positive relationship channels that's out there, I feel like, you know, at least the message is getting out there now. So, yeah, I just wanted to drop this video real quick and just let y'all know that the new supply is, they was finished before they even started. You know what I'm saying? It takes you that long just to get to know somebody. And by the time that the new supply feels like they're really starting to get comfortable into the relationship, the narcissist is already like grooming new supply and looking for a way out and trying to get the old supply back. Like, literally, the narcissist's first Hoover, her first real Hoover attempt, because when you have a child with the narcissist, the Hoover, I guess, isn't as big as some of you guys may have experienced it, because the Hoover, they feel like, we got a child together, I already have you, you're in the pocket already, you know what I'm saying? So they not gonna Hoover you as much as they would somebody that they don't have any ties with just yet, and they really want to lock in on you. They will eventually, but what they do is, if you have a kid with them and you have to deal with them, they just keep pestering you. They won't leave you alone. They just keep poking at you and poking at you and poking at you. You know what I'm saying? Over time, and they trying to elicit the negative supply out of you as well. And then they'll try to come back later on and try to love bomb you all over again and all of that kind of stuff. But that's when they, you know, when you're in a situation where you have a child with them, or you have business with them and you're locked into a certain position with them, that's what they own. They like, well, I don't need to love bomb you as much. I don't need to do all of the extras with you because you're already in position. I don't, you know, I can come over and give you something a little bit here and there, or do this, do that, and that's that. So that's why you got to cut that completely off. Like, I cut it. I'm so glad that I really understood that. I didn't understand that I was dealing with a narcissist, but again, I understood that I was dealing with behaviors that was outside of me, and that I couldn't fix this person. And I realized that early in the situation. So I'm so glad that I picked up on that and realized that there was no way that I was going to be able to fix her or fix the situation. And I removed myself out of it. And because I removed myself out of it, I'm not going to say that I saved myself all the heartache and pain, but I'm looking back, I'm pretty sure I avoided a lot of stuff that some of you other guys have, you know, y'all can probably get in the comment box and attest to the fact of how trifling it can get if y'all stick around and stick in there longer than need be. And I saw that coming. It's like I had a sense of awareness, like that I felt danger coming. I was like, man, I gotta block her and her whole family. And once I blocked her and her whole family, then it was kind of like, well, like I said, I started to regain my peace. And once I blocked her, and once I started realizing that because she didn't have my energy now, she had to project all of that onto the new supply. And now the new supply is starting to figure things out probably. And they're probably, you know, like I said, she's at that 2-year mark now. She's actually past the 2-year mark. But I'll give her a few months because, like I said, I didn't cut her off completely until my son was about 6 months old. So I'll give or take a few months. I'm pretty sure the new supply is starting to figure things out, or she has X'd him out of the situation. She's probably gone off to the supply after him. She may be 2, 3 supplies in by now. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Like, to be honest, but in I don't know because I don't even try to know. I don't try to keep up with what's going on over there. I take care of my son. You know, we do we do our child exchange, and that's it. Like, that's the only contact that I've had with her, other than like her texting me, like, oh, make sure you give the baby the medicine and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, stop texting me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it is what it is. I am in a co-parenting situation, so certain things that I do need to know, I you know, I don't want to open up the can of worms by letting her come in and talk to me and engage with me and all of that kind of stuff. But it is certain things, especially like if there's something medical going on with my son, that I do want to know. So I try to stay cordial for those type of things. But outside of that, if it's anything outside of any dealings with my son, especially with his anything medical or anything like that, then anything outside of that, I don't engage with her at all. You know what I'm saying? I leave all of that right there at the door. If she texts me something that don't have nothing to do with him, it gets ignored. If she tries to play any type of little games, now it seems like she's been slowing down on the game plan, I guess because I've been shutting all of her angles down. So, like, I had a dog that died. I'm sure some of you guys probably saw that video I did a few months back. But when my dog passed away, she tried to hoover me and was like, hey, please let me know if it's anything that I could do to help. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear about the dog, and I'm so sorry. And I'm like, you sorry about the dog, but you're not sorry about the things that you did to me? Like, the things that you did, like, okay, granted, I'm sad about the dog and everything like that, but it's like, the dog was getting older. He was having some health problems, this, that, and the third. But you have the audacity to come and apologize to me about the dog passing away, but you didn't apologize to me about what you did to me and what in the position that you left me and our son in, and the fact that you basically robbed me of the experience of a lot of the experiences that come with being a new father and all of that kind of stuff. Like, you're not going to acknowledge none of that. You know what I'm saying? It was like literally all of that was washed under the rug until until she needed me again. And now she needs me again, or now she wants me to stick around in the picture, or whatever the case may be. And so now she's trying to use all of these manipulative tactics instead of, even at that point, of course, I knew about narcissism at that point, so she couldn't have got me back. But at the end of the day, these people are so foul that even when they know they did you wrong, and even though they know that you caught them doing you wrong, they're not going to apologize for their wrongdoing. They would rather wait until you have another vulnerability, like wait until somebody else passes in your family. Oh my God, I heard about your relative. Oh my God, is there anything I can do? And they're trying to catch you at your weakest, like your weak moments. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to catch you when you're vulnerable to try to slip back in, get up in your bed, or whatever the case may be, just to say, oh, yeah, got him again. You know what I'm saying? So it was literally like, because I understood that, I cut her back. And once I cut her back, now that cut it cut into her fuel matrix so viciously that now she has to rely on the new supply. That new supply is going to eventually time out and get old to her, because, like I said, things with her are on that 2-year cycle. He's pushing that